Hello there, YouTube. It's Forever Bengals. I'm going to do this video to address Vikings28Fan. Okay, he's decided to come on my page and talk smack, and I'm tired of typing. I want to get everything in a video and get it out. All right, he's talking about how great the Minnesota Vikings, how great they are this year. Not just how great they are this year, but how great their history is. Because past 3 years they were the number one run defense, which is true. I'll concede that. I thought the Steelers were, but last year, but the Steelers were number one defense. Vikings were the number one run defense. However, you play in a pretty weak division that doesn't really have any running backs. So you get to play those two teams twice a year. You're going to up your stats. Just all there is to it. However, this we're not going to go by last year. We're talking about this year. This year, the Cincinnati Bengals are number two, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are number one. And I think that actually says something because when you're in the AFC North, which is a run-dominant division, then and you're able to be number two after playing both, all of our AFC North teams twice this year already, and we're still the number two ranked defense. That says something. But he wants to talk about this year. We're going. Well, he wants to talk about how great his team is. I'm going to go quickly through the schedule here. Week 1, Cleveland. Week 2, Detroit. Week 3, San Francisco. All right, Cleveland. They're a terrible team. They're what 1-11 now. Detroit. Past 2 years, what have they done? They've gotten 2 wins in 2 seasons. San Francisco. Now, at that time, San Francisco was pretty hot. However, they had Frank Gore was hurt and didn't play in that game. Green Bay. Who do they have as a running back? So and they have a very bad offensive line. So of course Minnesota was able to beat them. St. Louis, really another bad offensive line. Steven Jackson, he's able to run the ball, but without an offensive line, he's going to get stopped a lot. All right. Then you had Baltimore, who would have beaten you if Hauschka could make a field goal. He had an easy field goal and he misses it. Now, I'm glad that you beat him. I'm glad he missed a field goal because it helps my division out. But let's look at the facts there. You struggled against Baltimore. Baltimore almost beat you, and it wasn't because of anything that your defense did, your special teams did, or offense did to win the game, as much as it was the Baltimore Ravens special teams missing an easy field goal. Then you played Pittsburgh, who destroyed you. Now, I was defending Minnesota on this because I felt this game was actually given to the Steelers because of that very bad tripping call. However, let's look at the facts. The Steelers did beat you. They intercepted Favre, and it caused them to fumble. Turnover Favre, huh? I'm very proud of that. Then you beat Green Bay again, at Green Bay again, who doesn't have an offensive line or any running backs for that matter. And you played Detroit, who has no offensive line and no running backs. However, Detroit Lions, I'd be worried about them in the next couple of years because they actually have a quarterback who seems to be pretty tough. And if you can get him some extra protection and maybe a defense, a really strong defense, you might have a good team there. So that's a team to watch in the future. Seattle, they have no running back. Their quarterback is constantly hurt and dinged up, and really no receiving threat, and they basically suck this year. Chicago, they have no receivers. They have a good quarterback, but no receivers, and the quarterback's, he's not a rookie anymore, but yeah, he just no receivers for him to throw the ball to, and he's constantly trying to make something out of nothing. Then you got your ass handed to you by the Arizona Cardinals. Then after that, you get Cincinnati, Carolina, Chicago again, and the New York Giants. Okay? Now, out of this whole schedule, the two teams that are the hardest teams for you to play is Cincinnati and the Giants. Now you get the Giants at home. You also get Cincinnati at home. Everybody else have been pretty simple. Easy teams, except for Pittsburgh, who they beat you. Now, if Minnesota was in the AFC North instead of NFC North, they would never hardly make it to the playoffs. And this is what this guy's trying to say. They go to the Vikings have went to the playoffs this many times. Blah 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 blah. Well, you go to the playoffs. How many Super Bowls have you been in? I don't remember any. I don't know the Vikings, and I'm actually honestly saying how many. I think he said that you've been to 4 Super Bowls. How many of them have you won? Okay, the Bengals have went to 2. We play in a much tougher division than you do, and we've still went to 2. And this might be our third time going to the Super Bowl. I like the way we match up against any team in the NFL right now, even the Patriots and the Chargers. So go ahead and keep talking your trash. Keep saying the things you got to say. I don't really do these hate videos. It's not my it's not what I work on. It's not what I like to do. But if you want to be a douchebag, you want to be a little bitch and type. Here's a video that you can do all your little bitch and type on. Do an actual video and be a man up to about your team, and actually look at what your team has done before you go and try to crown them king of the NFL. If they're supposed to be so great, why don't we just why don't the rest of the league just go ahead and hand them the Lombardi? Because they're obviously going to beat the Saints. They're obviously going to beat whatever AFC team they have to play in the Super Bowl if they make it there that far. You want to talk about Brett Favre? Brett Favre has the worst QB success in the NFL right now. The worst, hands down. They cannot seem to. He cannot seem to lead his team to a Super Bowl. He's only went to the Super Bowl one time and has won the Super Bowl. But other than that, he's led his team to the playoffs more, and just hasn't been able to do anything in the playoffs. And last year, when he was in the Jets, he could have led the Jets to the playoffs. But, of course, he fizzled down at the end of the year. You can never count on what you got with Favre at the beginning of the year. You got to look at the end of the year, because that's when it's the most important. And his performance on Sunday night was abysmal. So, go ahead and crown yourselves kings. But until you actually make it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, it's not your you cannot say you're going to automatically beat somebody. Adrian Peterson, you want to compare running backs Adrian Peterson and Cedric Benson? Okay, well, Cedric Benson has played against the top rushing defenses in the league, and the Vikings, they haven't really had the top rushing defenses in the league. And when they do go up against top rushing defenses, Adrian Peterson fizzles out. Plus, he also has a fumbling problem. When was the last time Cedric Benson fumbled the ball? I don't remember. How many times has he fumbled the ball at all this year? I know there was one close time in the Bears game, but that's one time. How many has Adrian Peterson have? 4 going on 5 or whatever. So I'd be more worried about him actually securing the ball and running with it than I would be talking all this trash about how great he is and saying he's going to get 150 yards against the number 2 rush defense in the league. To say that Adrian Peterson is going to get 150 yards against the number 2 rush defense, and that your defense is going to stop Cedric Benson is just laughable. It's laughable at best, And the only thing you have is a good offensive line. That's it. Oh, not offensive line, but defensive line. That's it. You have the Williams brothers, and you have Jared Allen, and I don't even know who you have on the other side for defensive end. So you only got really 3 players on that defensive line, and that's what you have to hang your defense on. So I'm not worried about your team. I'm not worried about that. Those 3 guys. Jared Allen against bigger guys and fat guys who can stand up to his speed. He usually gets shut down on. The Williams boys, they might intimidate a lot of people, but Kyle Cook, he played against the toughest defensive tackles in the league 2 times and held his own. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be worried about him playing against those 2. Okay, so go ahead and talk your trash. We'll find out come Sunday when the Bengals go to Minnesota and play against the Vikings. And as far as Winfield, he's questionable. We don't know if he'll be back or not. I've looked all over the place. I haven't seen him actually listed as being being on the active roster. So go ahead and count him there. But even then, Chad Ochocinco has been able to blaze past better cornerbacks than Antoine Winfield. I'm Forever Bengals, and I'm out.